With the ANC elective conference on hand, we have to be looking at how markets will react and what the economy will look like in the event of a Cyril Ramaphosa win or a Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma win. With us in studio to unpack the impact of those two different scenarios, we have Nazmeera Moola, co-head of fixed income at Investec Asset Management. Welcome, Nazmeera.
Hi, Mushfiqah.
What are we looking at? What are the different scenarios that we face on the economic front if we see a CR17 win or a Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma win?
I think we need to look at it both in terms of the immediate reaction from markets and the longer term impact, the 12 to 18 month impact of either candidate winning. And the first one is a little bit easier because the first one we know what markets fear and expect from each candidate. So we know that the Rand or the bond market or even the JSE are not priced for either scenario. So we're likely to see a rally in the stock market, in bond prices, in the currency if Cyril Ramaphosa wins, and we're likely to see something of a sell-off if Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma wins. The question about what happens on a 12 to 18 month view very much depends on the policies both of them then bring to the table. And currently, the general expectation is that Cyril Ramaphosa's policies are going to be slightly more market friendly. And I should actually pause there for a second because I don't think that the end point either candidate wants to get to is markedly different. I think there's a firm understanding that we need growth to be more inclusive in South Africa. We need transformation on a grassroots level to actually take place for education for young kids, particularly poor black children, to improve dramatically. So I think everyone wants to get to that position. I think the question is how we get there. And there's a general fear that the policies from the Dlamini-Zuma camp are going to be much more populist. And if that were the case, then that is ultimately going to be much less friendly for growth. We've seen the result of populist policies in Venezuela and Argentina recently. It doesn't end well.
So we hope it's going to end better for us in South Africa. I must also say that there is talk of a split within the ANC, specifically if there is a Dlamini-Zuma win. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm a fixed income investor, not a political analyst.
In terms of how that would affect the economy, would that go down well in the international market, or are international markets expecting a definite outcome from the elective conference?
I think everyone's expecting a definite outcome, and one of the most negative scenarios I see is some sort of delay or postponement to the conference, that there's an inability to hold the conference over the weekend because of court cases or because the accreditation process becomes flawed and contested. I think that is the biggest risk, is a collapsed conference.
Well, we hope that we're going to have a conference that goes forth and also a conference that yields positive results for South Africans going forward. I think we need that.
I think we desperately need that. And if you look at the structure of growth over the last 18 to 24 months, one of the surprises for me is how much cash we've seen households accumulating in commercial banks. So households historically have had an average of 14.5% of GDP in terms of cash deposits, and this has gone up to over 18%. What this reflects is the lack of confidence by households in the economy. So if you get a positive electoral outcome that engenders confidence in the average consumer, that makes us think that there is some leadership in the country, which currently between the politics, between Eskom and Steinhoff doesn't seem to be very visible. But if we get into 2018 and we're feeling more confident, you could get a really nice consumer spending boost. And that means you could get growth that looks like 2.5% next year, which is a world away from the 1% we're struggling to eke out this year. And that has a huge positive benefit on tax revenues. So it starts to solve a lot of the pressures from the rating agencies as well. It's all about growth, Mushfiqah. If we can get growth going, everything else looks better.
Well, we hope that the ANC elective conference this week yields some spurt of growth, which we desperately need. Thanks, Nazmeera.
Thank you.